The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Commander Jack Wilson as he stared through the viewport of the Astral Pioneer. Their small research vessel hung motionless among the stars, its usual soft hum of systems now replaced by alarming silence and occasional sparks from damaged panels. "Status report," Jack called, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. The bridge of the scientific vessel was bathed in the red glow of emergency lighting, casting long shadows across the worried faces of his crew. "Life support at 40% and dropping," replied Mary, the ship's engineer. Her hands moved quickly over her console, trying to reroute power. "Whatever hit us knew exactly where to strike. Main engines are dead. Communications array destroyed." Jack nodded grimly. This was no accident. The attack had been swift and precise, the alien vessels appearing seemingly from nowhere, firing several targeted shots, then vanishing just as quickly. They hadn't even tried to communicate first. "Any luck identifying our attackers?" Jack asked, turning to his science officer. Bill looked up from his scanner, his face pale in the dim light. "Krell warships, sir. I got partial readings before. Our systems were damaged. Their energy signatures are unmistakable." A heavy silence fell across the bridge. Everyone knew about the Krell, an aggressive species from the outer systems who viewed most other races as inferior. Until now, they had kept to their territory, occasionally raiding border outposts but never venturing this far into Galactic Alliance space. "They left us alive," Lisa, the medical officer, said quietly. "That's strange for Krell. They don't usually take prisoners or leave survivors." Jack's jaw tightened. "They didn't leave us alive out of mercy. They damaged us just enough to ensure a slow death. Our distress beacon is destroyed. We're in an empty sector miles from any shipping lanes, and life support is failing. They've left us to die because they don't consider us worth the extra shots." The crew exchanged worried glances. Their scientific mission to study a nearby star system had brought them to this remote area, far from help. No one was expecting to hear from them for another 2 weeks. "Options?" Jack asked, refusing to give in to despair. "We could try to repair the backup communications array," Mary suggested. "It would be weak, but might reach a nearby patrol, if there are any." "Good. Start on that," Jack ordered. "Bill, help her. Lisa, we need to conserve life support. Move everyone to the central section and seal off the outer compartments." As his crew hurried to their tasks, Jack moved to the small tactical display that still functioned. The Krell attack made no sense. This sector held nothing of value, just empty space and the star they had come to study. Why would the Krell venture so far from their territory to attack a lone science vessel? Hours passed as they worked desperately to extend their survival time. The air grew noticeably thinner and the temperature dropped as power reserves dwindled. Jack ordered the crew to take rest shifts to conserve oxygen, while he remained at his post, searching for any solution that might save his people. "Commander?" Mary called, her voice showing the strain of hours of non-stop work. "The backup array is partially functional, but there's not enough power to send a signal more than a few thousand miles. It's useless unless someone happens to be right on top of us." Jack's heart sank, but he kept his expression neutral. "Good work anyway. We'll keep trying." He didn't mention that the oxygen levels had fallen to 25%. At this rate, they would all be unconscious within 10 hours and dead soon after. The Krell had been efficient in their cruelty. As night cycle came, most of the crew huddled together in the ship's mess hall, converted now to an emergency shelter to conserve the remaining heat and air. Jack made his rounds, speaking quietly with each crew member, offering what comfort he could. They were scientists, explorers, not soldiers trained to face death. Yet each one met his gaze with courage that made his chest tighten with pride. Back, on the bridge, Jack allowed himself a moment of weakness away from watching eyes. He slumped in his chair, exhaustion washing over him. The Astral Pioneer had been his first command, a peaceful scientific vessel dedicated to expanding knowledge. Now it would become their tomb, and no one would even know what had happened to them. A sudden beep from the sensor console jolted him awake. Jack rubbed his eyes, wondering if he had imagined it. The sound came again, more insistent. He pushed himself up and moved to the console, hardly daring to hope. The screen showed a faint reading. Something was approaching their position at high speed. For a moment his heart leapt. Rescue, but caution quickly tempered his optimism. It could be the Krell returning to finish what they started. Jack activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, possible contact approaching. Stay alert but quiet. The minutes stretched as the object drew closer. Their damaged sensors couldn't identify it properly, showing only a ship-sized mass moving with purpose toward their position. Jack's hand hovered over the alarm that would seal the remaining compartments, a last, futile defense. Then the comm system crackled to life with a transmission. Astral Pioneer, this is Captain Tom Reynolds of the Earth military vessel Defiant. We've detected your ship and are approaching to render assistance. Please respond if you are able. The sound of a human voice, an Earth voice, sent a wave of relief so powerful through Jack that he had to grip the console to stay upright. Defiant, this is Commander Wilson of the Astral Pioneer, he responded, his voice cracking slightly. We've sustained heavy damage from a Krell attack. Life support failing. We have 12 crew members still alive. Request immediate assistance. Hang tight, Commander, came the steady reply. We're coming alongside now. Prepare for emergency docking and evacuation. We'll have you out of there in 10 minutes. As Jack relayed the news to his crew, he saw hope return to their faces. They would survive. But as the initial relief faded, a harder question formed in his mind. What were the Krell doing this far into Alliance space? And why had they attacked a harmless science vessel? Whatever the answers, Jack knew one thing. For certain as he watched the military ship appear outside their viewport, the Krell had made a serious mistake in leaving them alive. Because humans, unlike Krell, never forgot their own. Captain Tom Reynolds stood tall on the bridge of the military vessel Defiant, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency around him as they approached the damaged research vessel. Magnify, Tom ordered, and the main screen showed the full extent of the damage to the Astral Pioneer. Large sections of the hull were blackened and torn open to space. The engine section had been precisely targeted, and the communications array was completely destroyed. That's no random attack or meteorite damage, said First Officer John, his voice low. Those are weapons impacts, precise ones. Tom nodded grimly. And on a clearly marked research vessel. Scan for life signs. Reading 12 survivors, sir, reported Emma from the sensor station. They've gathered in the central section. Life support is critical. Maybe 2 hours of oxygen left at most. Bring us alongside and prepare for emergency docking, Tom ordered. Medical team to the airlock, security team on standby. As the Defiant maneuvered carefully next to the damaged ship, Tom studied the attack pattern. 20 years in space had taught him to read the signs of different weapons. These marks were distinctive, Krell energy weapons. The thought chilled him. Krell ships hadn't been seen this deep in human space for years. Docking complete, Captain, John reported. Rescue. Team is entering the Astral Pioneer now. Tom turned to his communications officer. Send an encrypted message to Earth Command. Inform them we've found a research vessel attacked by what appears to be Krell forces. Survivors being retrieved. Awaiting instructions. The bridge fell silent, as everyone processed the implications. If the Krell were attacking civilian ships this far into human territory, it could mean only one thing. The fragile peace was over. 20 minutes later, the survivors from the Astral Pioneer were safely aboard the Defiant. Tom made his way to the medical bay, where Dr. Pete was examining the weakened scientists. Captain, called a man sitting on one of the beds. Despite his exhaustion, he carried himself with dignity. Commander Jack Wilson of the Astral Pioneer, I can't thank you enough for your timely arrival. Tom clasped the man's offered hand. Captain Tom Reynolds, wish we could have gotten here sooner. What happened out there, Commander? Jack's eyes darkened. We were conducting routine stellar observations when 3 ships appeared. No warning, no communication attempts. They targeted Our engines and communications first, then our life support systems. Just enough damage to ensure we'd die slowly. Then they simply left. Krell ships? Yes. We got partial readings before our systems failed. Jack's voice hardened. They didn't even consider us worth finishing off, just left us to suffocate. Tom helped Jack to his feet. We should talk privately. My office. If Dr. Pete says you're up to it. The doctor nodded. He's stable. Just keep it brief. In the captain's office, Jack sat heavily in the offered chair. Tom poured 2 cups of coffee and slid one across the desk. There's more to this than a random attack, isn't there? Tom asked. Jack took a sip of coffee, his hands still trembling slightly. 2 days before the attack, we detected unusual energy, readings from a nearby system. We changed course to investigate, purely scientific curiosity. What we found. He paused, taking a deep breath. We found a massive Krell staging area, at least 30 warships and several transport vessels. Tom felt his stomach drop. 30 ships? That's not a raiding party. That's an invasion force. Exactly. We tried to leave quietly, but they must have detected us. Jack placed a data chip on the desk. I managed to save our sensor readings before the attack. The Krell are planning something big, Captain. They're positioning for a major push into human space. Tom studied the man across from him. Why didn't you report this immediately? We were about to when they hit us. Took out communications first. Jack's eyes met Tom's. They think they left no witnesses, no one who could warn Earth. Tom picked up the data chip, turning it over in his fingers. Earth Command needs to see this. It won't matter, Jack said quietly. You know how the political system works. By the time the Galactic Alliance approves military action, the Krell will have already struck. They're counting on our bureaucracy to slow us down. The captain's communication panel beeped. Reynolds here. Sir, came John's voice. Encrypted response from Earth Command, eyes only. I'll take it here. Tom activated his private screen and read the message quickly, his expression growing darker. After switching off the screen, he looked at Jack. You're right. Command acknowledges the threat, but the Alliance Council is demanding proof of hostile intent before authorizing any military response. They estimate 3 months of debate before any action is approved. Jack slammed his fist on the desk. In 3 months, the Krell could reach Earth itself. I know. Tom's voice was quiet but firm. That's why Command has given me unofficial orders. We're to gather intelligence, track the Krell fleet movements, and take necessary precautions to protect human interests. Meaning? Meaning we're on our own, but not forbidden from acting. Tom stood up and moved to the viewport, looking out at the stars. The Defiant is a stealth-capable destroyer with advanced weapon systems. We can shadow the Krell, learn their weaknesses, and if necessary, prepare for war, Jack finished. Tom turned back to face him. I need your help. Your scientific knowledge combined with my crew's military experience, we might be able to find an advantage, something the Krell won't expect. They already don't expect much from humans, Jack said with a grim smile. They think we're weak. That's why they left us to die slowly instead of finishing the job. Then that's their first mistake, Tom replied, and we're going to make sure it's their biggest one. As Jack left to rejoin his crew, Tom studied the data chip containing evidence of the Krell fleet. Official channels would move too slowly. By the time the Alliance bureaucrats approved action, countless lives could be lost. He inserted the chip into his console and began studying the Krell ship formations. The Defiant would remain in stealth mode, gathering more intelligence while preparing for what might come next. The Krell had left humans to die in space, thinking them too weak to survive. They would soon learn that nothing was more dangerous than a human preparing for war. The medical bay of the Defiant hummed with activity as doctors treated the rescued scientists. Jack sat on the edge of his bed, watching as his crew received care. Despite their ordeal, they were alive, something the Krell hadn't planned for. Your people are recovering well, said Dr. Pete, checking Jack's vital signs. Another day or two of rest and most will be back on their feet. Jack nodded. Thank you, Doctor. But rest isn't a luxury we have right now. The ship's intercom came to life with Captain Reynolds' voice. Commander Wilson and science team leaders, please report to the tactical room immediately. In the tactical room, holographic displays showed star charts and ship movements. Captain Reynolds stood at the center table with his senior officers. Now that you're all here, Tom began, we need to combine our knowledge. My officers will explain our situation. First Officer John stepped forward. We've analyzed your data chip, Commander Wilson. The Krell fleet is larger than we initially thought, closer to 40 ships now. They're moving in formation toward these systems. He pointed to 3 star clusters near human space. Those are colony worlds, said Bill, Jack's science officer. Mostly farming and mining operations. Minimal defenses. Exactly, Tom replied. Perfect first targets. Earth Command has acknowledged the threat but can't act officially without Alliance approval. Which will take months, Jack added bitterly. Tom nodded. So we're on our own for now. Unofficial orders are to gather intelligence and take necessary action to protect human interests. Mary, the engineer from the Astral Pioneer, spoke up. What can a single ship do against 40 Krell warships? More than you might think, said Emma, the Defiant's tactical officer. This isn't just any ship. The Defiant is a stealth destroyer with experimental systems. We can shadow the Krell fleet undetected while we look for weaknesses. And that, Tom said, turning to Jack's science team, is where you come in. We need your scientific expertise combined with our military capabilities. Lisa, the medical officer, from the research vessel, looked confused. We're scientists, not soldiers. What can we possibly offer against the Krell? Knowledge, Jack replied. While we were studying that star system, we collected data on Krell ships too. Their energy signatures, shield frequencies, communication patterns. Tom smiled for the first time. Exactly. The Krell think they left no survivors, no one who could reveal what they know. That's their mistake. He pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show a detailed scan of a Krell warship. While you were recovering, we've been analyzing your data. The Krell have technological advantages. Their shields are stronger, their weapons more powerful. But they have weaknesses too. Bill leaned forward, studying the scans with new interest. Their shield harmonics. There's a pattern here. We noticed that too, Emma said. Their shields operate on a rotating frequency, highly effective against conventional weapons, but potentially vulnerable to precisely calibrated energy pulses. Bill finished, excitement growing in his voice. Jack watched as his science team began to engage, their natural curiosity awakening as they studied the Krell technology. This was what they did best, solving problems, finding patterns. There's something else you should know, Tom said, his tone growing serious. We intercepted Krell communications. Our translators are still working on it, but we've figured out enough to understand why they attacked your ship. He displayed another hologram, this one showing a biological scan of a human body next to a Krell body. The Krell don't just see us as enemies. They see us as physically inferior beings. According to their biology, humans are weak, lower bone density, less muscle mass, shorter lifespans. They think we're not worth fighting properly, Jack said, understanding dawning. That's why they left us to die slowly. It wasn't just cruelty, it was contempt. Precisely, Tom replied. The Krell believe their invasion will be easy because they've underestimated what humans are capable of. They expect minimal resistance. Mary laughed suddenly, drawing surprised looks. Sorry, she said. It's just, throughout human history, that's always been a fatal mistake. Underestimating humans. A small smile touched Tom's lips. Indeed, and we're going to use that mistake against them. He turned to his communications officer. Any response from Earth Command? Yes, sir. Official channels say we're to return to Earth immediately with the survivors. And unofficial channels? They've sent us updated star charts showing Krell movement predictions and technical specifications for a weapons modification that might be useful. They're giving us room to operate, sir. Tom nodded. Then we have work to do. He addressed both crews now standing around the tactical table. I won't order any of you to join this mission. The scientists especially. You've already been through enough. We can arrange transport back to Earth from the nearest outpost. Jack looked at his team, seeing determination replace fear in their eyes. Then he turned to Tom. With respect, Captain, we're already involved. The Krell tried to kill us because of what we saw. I think I speak for my team when I say we want to make sure that wasn't in vain. One by one, Jack's science team nodded their agreement. Besides, Bill added with a small smile, you need us, those shield harmonics? I already have 3 ideas for how to penetrate them. Mary stepped forward. And I can help modify your weapon systems to deliver the right energy pulses. If we work with your engineers, we could double your effective firepower against their shields. Tom looked at them with new respect. Then it settled. From this moment, we're one crew with one mission, to learn everything we can about the Krell and develop countermeasures before they strike. As the meeting broke up into specialized working groups, Tom held Jack back with a hand on his shoulder. You have a good team, Commander. Scientists with the hearts of warriors. Jack shook his head. Not warriors, just humans who understand what's at stake. The Krell think strength is only physical. They've never met humans before, not really. Tom nodded slowly. Then we'll give them a proper introduction. Outside the viewport, stars gleamed cold and distant as the Defiant silently changed course, its stealth systems engaging. Soon they would shadow the Krell fleet, watching and learning, a single ship preparing for war against an enemy that had no idea what humans were truly capable of when pushed too far. The Defiant glided silently through the darkness of space, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible to sensors. For 10 days, they had shadowed the Krell fleet, maintaining a safe distance while gathering crucial intelligence. On the bridge, Captain Tom Reynolds studied the tactical display showing the enemy formation, 40 warships moving in precise patterns, escorting several larger vessels. They're confident, Tom muttered, not even bothering with scout ships. First Officer John nodded. Why would they? They don't expect anyone knows they're coming. The door to the bridge slid open as Jack entered, looking more rested than he had in days. The commander of the science vessel had adapted quickly to life aboard the military ship. Captain, we've made a breakthrough. You'll want to see this. Tom followed Jack to the ship's lab, which had been transformed in recent days. The scientists from the Astral Pioneer worked alongside the Defiant's military crew, creating an unusual but effective team. Monitors displayed complex equations and diagrams of Krell technology. Bill, the science officer, looked up from his workstation. We've identified a critical weakness in the Krell shield system. He brought up a holographic display showing energy waves pulsing around a Krell ship model. Their shields use a triple frequency rotation, highly effective against standard weapons, but Bill adjusted the display. If we hit them with precisely calibrated energy pulses that match this pattern but are slightly out of phase, we can create a cascade failure. In simple terms, Tom asked. Mary, the engineer, stepped forward. We can make their shields collapse with much less firepower than normally needed, but we need to modify the Defiant's weapons to generate these specific energy patterns. Tom turned to his weapons officer. Can it be done? Yes, sir. With the science team's help, we can reconfigure the forward beam weapons. It will take about 3 days. Make it 2, Tom ordered. The Krell fleet will reach the outer colony systems in 5 days. In the days that followed, the ship hummed with activity. In the engine room, Mary worked alongside the Defiant's engineers to modify the weapons systems. Her knowledge of energy, patterns combined with their military expertise created something neither could have achieved alone. Hand me that calibrator, Mary said, working deep inside an access panel. Anna, the Defiant's chief engineer, passed her the tool. This modification will reduce our firing rate by 30%. But increase shield penetration by 400%, Mary replied. Worth the trade-off. Anna nodded, a newfound respect in her eyes. For a scientist, you're pretty good at weapons work. Mary smiled without looking up from her work. Energy is energy, whether you're studying it or using it to punch through alien shields. In another section of the ship, Lisa, the medical officer from the research vessel, worked with Dr. Pete analyzing Krell biology from the data they had gathered. Their respiratory system is fascinating, Lisa said, pointing to a scan. Triple-chambered lungs, much more efficient than ours, but more complex, Dr. Pete noted, and potentially vulnerable to certain compounds. If we needed to board a Krell ship, we could develop non-lethal options that would affect them but not us, Lisa finished. Throughout the ship, similar collaborations formed. The scientific mind's creativity paired with military discipline and experience created solutions no one would have thought of alone. In the tactical room, Jack and Tom reviewed the latest intelligence gathered from monitoring Krell communications. They're confident, Jack said. From what we've translated, they expect minimal resistance. They're already discussing how to divide the colony worlds among their commanders. Tom's jaw tightened. They're in for a surprise. There's something else, Jack added. We've been analyzing their weapons targeting patterns. The Krell prioritize infrastructure over population centers. They want to capture our colonies intact. They need resources, Tom realized. This isn't just about territory. They're planning a much larger campaign, which means stopping this first wave is even more important, Jack said. The ship's alert system suddenly blared. Captain to the bridge, came John's voice over the intercom. Krell patrol detected, changing course toward our position. Tom and Jack raced to the bridge where the tactical display showed a small Krell vessel breaking away from the main fleet and turning in their direction. Have they detected us? Tom demanded. Emma shook her head. I don't think so. They appear to be conducting a standard patrol sweep, but their current course will bring them within sensor range in 20 minutes. Options? Tom asked. We could retreat, John suggested, but we'd lose track of the main fleet. Or we could hold position and hope our stealth systems are good enough, Emma said. Tom considered both options, then said, neither. There's a nebula in Sector 4. Dense gas, clouds, magnetic interference. Perfect for hiding, Jack agreed, but we'd need to move now to reach it in time. Set course for the nebula, maximum stealth speed, Tom ordered, and power down all non-essential systems. Let's make ourselves as invisible as possible. The Defiant changed course, slipping toward the distant cloud of colorful gas. Behind them, the Krell patrol continued its sweep, unaware of the human ship moving silently away. For 3 days, the Defiant waited in the nebula, systems powered to minimum levels. The Krell patrol passed by, its sensors confused by the natural interference of the gas cloud. When it finally rejoined the main fleet, Tom ordered the ship to emerge from hiding. We've lost valuable time, he said as they resumed shadowing the Krell fleet. Are the weapons modifications complete? Final calibrations are being done now, John reported. Should be ready for testing in 6 hours. Good. Once testing is complete, set course to intercept the Krell at this position. Tom marked a point on the star map. It's a key supply line they'll need to support their invasion. If we can disrupt it, we could buy Earth the time it needs, Jack finished. As the crew returned to their stations, Tom remained on the bridge, watching the enemy fleet on the long-range scanners. The Defiant was just one ship against 40, but it had something the Krell didn't expect. Humans who refused to accept defeat, who turned scientific curiosity into weapons, and who had been underestimated for the last time. In the quiet darkness of space, the Defiant prepared for war, not with the overwhelming force the Krell commanded, but with intelligence, adaptability, and the quiet determination that had defined humanity throughout its history. The Defiant drifted in the shadow of a small moon, engines powered down to minimum levels. From this position, the ship had a perfect view of the Krell supply route, a narrow corridor between 2 star systems where the enemy fleet would need to pass. On the bridge, Captain Tom Reynolds stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the tactical display. The crew worked in focused silence, each person knowing what was at stake. Final status report, Tom ordered. Modified weapons are fully operational and charged, reported Emma from Tactical. Shield harmonics set to counter Krell attack patterns. Engineering. Reports all systems green, First Officer John added. Stealth systems at maximum efficiency. Tom nodded, then turned to Jack, who had become an unofficial advisor during their mission. Your science team? Ready, Jack replied. Bill is monitoring. Krell communications. Mary is standing by in engineering to make any last-minute adjustments to the weapons. Tom checked the time. According to their intelligence, the Krell supply ships would arrive in less than 30 minutes, escorted by 3 warships. It wasn't the main fleet. That was still days away from the colonies, but striking here would disrupt their invasion timeline. All hands to battle stations, Tom ordered. Prepare for combat operations. Throughout the ship, crew members moved to their positions. In engineering, Mary worked alongside Anna, both women checking the modifications they had spent days perfecting. Will it work? Anna asked quietly. Mary gave a small smile. In theory, yes. In practice, we're about to find out. On the bridge, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. These weren't just military personnel anymore. They were a unique combination of scientists and soldiers, each bringing different strengths to the coming battle. Krell ships detected, announced Emma. 3 warships escorting 2 large transport vessels. Entering the corridor now. Tom leaned forward. Distance? 800,000 kilometers and closing. They'll pass within 50,000 kilometers of our position in approximately 12 minutes. Hold position until they're past us, Tom ordered. Then we'll hit them from behind. They won't expect an attack from a direction they've already cleared. The minutes ticked by slowly as the Krell ships moved through space, unaware of the human vessel waiting in the darkness. On the main screen, the alien ships grew larger, sleek, predatory designs with forward-swept wings and glowing energy ports. They're passing our position now, Emma reported. No indication they've detected us. Tom waited until the enemy ships had completely passed their hiding spot. Bring engines to full power. Target the rearmost warship with the modified weapons. Fire when ready. The Defiant surged forward from its hiding place, weapons charging as it closed rapidly on the unsuspecting Krell vessels. Firing, Emma announced. Beams of energy, modified to the exact specifications the science team had calculated, lanced out from the Defiant. They struck the Krell warship's shields, but instead of being absorbed or deflected, they passed through at specific points, creating a cascading failure throughout the shield system. Direct hit, Emma called out, surprise evident in her voice. Krell vessel's shields are down. Fire conventional weapons, Tom ordered. The Defiant's standard weapons struck the now unprotected Krell ship, tearing through its hull. The vessel shuddered, then exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Alarms blared as the remaining Krell ships registered the attack and began to turn. They're coming about, John warned. Weapons charging. Evasive maneuvers, Tom commanded. Target the second warship with the modified weapons. The Defiant rolled sharply, avoiding the first volley of Krell energy fire. The human ship was smaller and more agile than the Krell vessels, a fact they used to their advantage as they circled around for another attack run. Krell communications are going crazy, Bill reported from his station. They can't understand how we penetrated their shields. They're actually panicking. The Defiant fired again, the modified beam striking the second Krell warship. Once more the enemy shields failed, and conventional weapons finished the job, leaving the vessel dead in space. The third Krell warship, now facing the Defiant alone, moved to protect the transport vessels. Its weapons fired continuously, forcing the human ship into a series of tight evasive maneuvers. They're adapting, Emma warned. Changing their shield frequencies. Mary's voice came over the comm from engineering. Captain, they can't adapt completely. The pattern is hardwired into their shield generators. Adjust targeting to these new coordinates. Tom nodded to Emma, who quickly input the new targeting data. Fire. This time the Krell ship was ready, attempting to maneuver away, but the modified beams caught the edge of its shields, creating a partial collapse. The Defiant's follow-up attack struck the vessel's engines, leaving it spinning helplessly. Target the transport ships, Tom ordered. Sir, John interjected. If we disable rather than destroy them, we could gather valuable intelligence. Tom considered this for a moment, then nodded. Target their propulsion systems only. With precision strikes, the Defiant disabled the two transport ships, leaving them adrift in space. The entire engagement had lasted less than 15 minutes. Begin data transmission to Earth Command, Tom ordered. Send everything, tactical data, weapons modifications, shield frequencies. They need to prepare the fleet. As the transmission began, Jack approached Tom. You know what this means, don't you? Tom nodded. The Krell will have to completely rethink their invasion timeline, and they now know their technology isn't as superior as they thought. More than that, Jack said. They left us to die because they thought humans were weak. Not worth a clean kill. Now they've lost 5 ships to a single human vessel. A small smile touched Tom's lips. A valuable lesson. The most important one, Jack agreed. Never underestimate humans. On the view screen, the disabled Krell ships drifted silently, their crews surely struggling to understand how this had happened. The arrogance that had led them to leave humans to die in space had become their greatest weakness. The Defiant moved away under stealth once more, disappearing into the darkness before Krell reinforcements could arrive. They had struck the first blow, small in the grand scheme of the coming conflict, but significant in ways the Krell couldn't yet understand. Back on Earth, military commanders would be reviewing the data, preparing defenses, and mobilizing the fleet. The Krell had planned for an easy conquest against a species they considered inferior. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. Humanity united against a common threat. The war was just beginning, but thanks to the Defiant and its unique crew of scientists and soldiers, it would not be the one-sided affair the Krell had expected. In the quiet depths of space, the balance had already shifted.